Good afternoon and welcome to another edition of the Chicago 16-inch Softball Hall of Fame. The fireworks you hear in the background are from our president, Paul Rowan, here at 2 o'clock in the afternoon. We are proud and honored today to have two gentlemen that are going to be inducted on the 28th of October at the Drury Lane for the Chicago 16-inch Softball Hall of Fame. To my left, because the camera here looks weird today, as always. To my left, there's Mark Holstein. Mark, welcome, and thank you for coming in here. Thanks for having me. And to my right, on this side, is Marty Dosen. Guys, really think this is a great honor again because every week Paul surprises me with who's going to be the next guest and who's going to go into the hall and how you guys started this. I always started out like this about this Hall of Fame, and any type of Hall of Fame, whatever the sport may be and whatever the level, amateur to pro and everything else, it is, for me, the honor of honors when somebody bestows this on you. I mean, you're remembered for it. I mean, especially when you guys, I'm sure, have crossed paths with other teams, other players, and everything else. It just becomes that thing that you remember for the rest of your life. It's just a fantastic feeling. So I'll start it off here with Mark today. Mark, it looks like you start this chasing this thing in front of us in 1997, correct?
Yes.
And
pretty much right out of high school.
Did you love it right away, or was there something about it that you said, okay, I'll try it, but now you get involved with it?
I grew up in Melrose Park, so I got to go to Bolger Park on Friday nights and watch Lettuce and all the big teams play when I was a kid. So I always knew it was around. And then when I got to be a little older, right out of high school, a bunch of friends, we had a team at Bolger, and we played a year. And then I played in there. Mr. Catazone, who rest his soul, passed away not too long ago, and he was out at the park and he invited me to come play with the Penguins, and it's been history ever since.
Yeah, Penguins in the Flash.
Yeah, right? Penguins in that Flash, yes.
Yeah, correct. So right away, the love starts right there out of Melrose Park.
Yes.
To my right again, Marty. Marty, for you, what is it, a couple years before, in 1995,
right.
It starts for you with the original Snappers.
Yeah, Southside team. Yeah. My brother ran the team. Obviously, he's the reason why I started. My father played for many years before that. So.
Yeah, and by the way, to give kudos to your dad. Your dad was inducted in 2003, Matt Dosen, into the Hall of Fame. So again, this is, you talk about goosebumps. Definitely to go follow the footsteps of your father.
I think we'll be the third father and son.
Wow, fantastic! Yeah, fantastic.
That's making it special.
I'll go back to Mark here. I'll kind of do this back and forth, and like I said, we'll talk here a little bit on the louder side because the building we lose the sound in here a little bit. But Mark, when you get the call from a Paul Rowan, the president of our Chicago 16-inch Softball Hall of Fame, what's going through your mind? I mean, just looking at this resume here. Unbelievable. The championships here, and a lot of them are the Forest Park champs, the national championships. And again, you were the MVP and everything else. What goes through your mind when Rowan gives you this call?
It was humbling to know that those that came before me, that I've gotten to play with and heard stories about, and some guys compared me to them and things like that. So it was really special to get the call, and it was kind of like it's kind of like a brotherhood. Now we had the ceremony in the summer. We got to play the game. And actually this summer I got to meet 2 or 3 guys that I've heard stories about that I never met in person because, whether they don't live around town or just I'm young and they're older and just never crossed paths. It was really, really humbling to meet them and see them.
Sure.
Their stories and things like that.
Oh, for sure. And for you, Marty, and knowing that, your dad was already in it and everything else, when Paul gives you this call, what goes through your mind?
Yeah, well, I was waiting for the call. Unlike Mark, who was a lot to get in, I was on the fence.
Yeah.
So I didn't know it could have been in or out. So when you did call, like Mark said, it was a great feeling.
Yes. Before I go back to Mark, I got to ask you, in reading the bio on you, your first taste of the major thing was, I think, in '97. a couple of years after you played in '95. What can you tell me about a Hall of Fame manager named Lane Neiman when you joined? How was that? I mean, for you?
We played snappers. We played at Clyde Park, and we played against the Rockers. Lane ran the Rockers and saw me play and asked me to finish out that season, and I did. So I owe a lot to Lane for taking a chance on me.
Because he was kind of recruiting.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah,
exactly. So he picked me up. I played with Lane for 2 years. I think the '98 season we finished third in major nationals, and we were fourth. So we had a nice.
How old were you then?
Nice run.
You don't mind me asking you the back of that.
'98, I was 26.
Wow. Okay. Okay. So he saw something in you that meant, hey.
Yeah, and then from there, Jeff Berger,
Yes.
great Jeff Berger, picked me up. We played with Bucks and Pugliese, and we had a nice little run there. And then I just got kind of bounced around.
Yeah, and again, here looking at your thing, just like over here with Mark, it's just amazing. From the Rockers to Pugliese to Bucks. I mean, the South Side, the Paragon, the 45s. I mean, we could go on here all day. You know, somebody just says, "Oh, he wrote a short bio," but the rest of the stuff is just amazing. You know, I'm glad we started on this theme. You meet a guy that I like with vowels because I'm being Italian.
Yeah.
You were playing for Sal Milazzo?
Yeah, so when I played with the Penguins
and
that
the
year,
Flash, right?
and John Eckey and Anthony Tofano were on that team.
Okay, a lot of vowels, we got them.
So then that turned into the Penguins. We turned into Flash. We had a young team, and we won a lot. We had a lot of fun playing, and then Flash kind of fizzled out, and then Eckey and Anthony, they went to the Bats with Sal Milazzo, and they're like, "Hey, you want to come?" I'm like, "Sure." So then it was, 3 years with the Bats and then the 45s, and it's been history ever since.
Wow. Milazzo, again, kind of like Lane.
I think it was more Eckey was the one that kind of brought me along, because I was a kid when I went to Sal's team. I think I was like 19 or 20. Wow. So when I went to the Bats, I think Eckey kind of said, "Hey, Sal, we need to have this guy," and Sal gave me the chance, and it's been cool. And we had a run on the 45s, and then the 45s kind of fizzled away in the late, 2009-ish, and then I got to go back and play with Sal.
Right.
So got to play with Sal for a few years, and we did some good winning there, so it was a lot of fun.
That is so cool just to hear that. When you were coming up, Marty, was your dad still involved playing and everything else?
At first, the staff we played a little, but
yeah,
it was towards the end.
Before we went on camera today, I had asked you. You play short center, second base, stuff like that. Yeah. But your father, what position did he play? Did you try to emulate him? I'm sure you went to go see him before when you were.
Yeah. He was more of a shortstop, maybe short center.
Right.
Great defensive player. One thing I did try to take away this is quick release. I think I might have a little stronger arm than he did.
Right.
But he always had that nice, quick, smooth release.
And just to ask you about that, Dad's still around these days?
Yes.
Yes, and so I'm sure on October 28th, 2023, he's going to be at that.
I think he might come.
Yeah, it's just got to be really neat. Going back, Mark, you kind of move around. If I'm getting this right here, I kind of read the bio on you. You started to play 12-inch, correct?
Played 12-inch for a few years. Got involved with Todd Agney and some guys that were local, and all of us local guys wound up just, climbing through the ranks, went from C-ball to B-ball, to A-ball, double A-ball.
Sure.
So we got to play and travel the country, and it was a fun, great experience. You know what I mean? So it was short-lived. What was tough was, one of the years I was the only guy from Illinois. So
wow.
You got to get on a plane, 8 to 12 times in the summer. You got to do that all alone. It's not as fun as you had a group of guys that travel with and things like that. So it was a great experience.
But going from that 16, of course, you guys both know this 16 game so well. Going to that 16 to the 12, I remember trying to play this 12-inch game, and I was like, "Whoa!" It was quicker, correct?
Very fast.
I can't see him in the 12-inch ball.
Yeah, I mean, I keep looking at his defender. I keep looking at his arms, and I can't wait for the interview. But I'm just saying.
That's why I wore long sleeves.
But I mean.
Yeah, they're definitely two different games, and it was fun to play. And Chris Guerin, who's a local guy, we got to play together for a lot of years, and we traveled the country. And it's a different game.
Sure.
Fundamentally, you swing a bat and hit a ball, but some exit speeds are 110, 120 miles.
Yeah, like they talk about now, like just in pro ball, like the other night I was watching the game 5 actually, and I see this Castellanos hit 2 home runs, and the guy says on a 100-mile-an-hour fastball, that ball went out 125 when he hits the seat. So you're like, okay, how can they gauge all this stuff? Marty, going back to you, I know you were bringing up something about your dad, about, maybe you were a little bit better, maybe let's say defensive.
Maybe I had a stronger arm.
Stronger arm, okay. Yeah, we don't want Dad calling me up tomorrow.
I may have a little more.
Yeah, it'll be
I think I had a little more power too.
Yeah.
That's the only thing, more power, better arm. That might be it.
What did you think in your heart of hearts? And of course, this is a great honor for both of you here today. In your heart of hearts, were you a better offensive player or a better defensive player? I mean,
Probably offensive.
Offensive, right?
I was okay.
I mean, but it wasn't when they came to the park hit at the Dosen. No, I mean, it wasn't that bad.
No.
Yeah.
I don't think so.
Yeah,
I hope I not.
No, exactly. I'm sure we're taking it that we're encompassing the whole thing here when you see all these awards that you guys have received. What about you, Mark? How was it for you? You more offensive or?
Definitely offensive.
Yeah. Okay.
Back in the day, even on the 45s, there's times they're like, Bobby, I'm like, Bob, could I play the field at all? And Bob would sit there and look at me, goes, no, you're not here for your defense. Go sit on the bench and catch an UEH.
Yeah.
Like, yes, coach.
Well, he probably knew there was going to be a play at the plate. Yeah, he knew there was going to be a play at the plate and something was going to happen. Oh my God. Over the years, of course, like I said, and looking at all these championships and everything that you've been on, the Forest Park champs, the national champs, I mean, and national MVPs and all that. I mean, this is from 2003 that's documented here till 2014. You remember some like early mentors and players that really went, or you had a game that championship where maybe you were behind or ahead and you guys had to scratch that club. You remember a couple of them?
There's a couple that really stick out. The biggest one was we played Jinx in the Forest Park tournament here. I don't remember what year it was, but we had lost, so we had to come back through the losers.
Out of the losers bracket.
Right. So, and we were playing Jinx, and it had come down to we had beat them the championship game, so then it went to the if game, and it was neck and neck the whole game. It was just awesome. Tie game in the 7th, and at one point, and I think it was the bottom of the 7th, we had bases loaded, no outs. Wow. And I was on 3rd, and I got forced out at home, and then we had an infield pop out, and then we had 2 outs, and Danny Jelowitz came up. Ouchies. And earlier in the game, he had hit a ball down the left field line for a home run. So Danny could sneakily hit it really far, And what wound up happening was AJ had to give him a couple extra steps in left field. So I don't know what the count was. Maybe it was 0-2, 1-2, something. Danny cut the ball down to the third base line, and it was fair by about 3 inches with 2 strikes, and that was the walk-off hit to win the tournament.
Wow, incredible.
That was probably, and you always remember your first one, like Marty probably say the same thing. When you won those first ones yourself, those are always fun, and you'll never forget. But like what's always been the most fun for me is, yes, we have both won tons of stuff, but when you win those, all the guys on the team, that was their first time they won, whether it's Forest Park or Nationals, to see those celebrations and celebrate with them, that's what makes it special.
Yeah, that's a question for later, because I don't want you to steal my thunder. Marty, I got to ask you the same thing. I mean, you've been through a lot of these. I mean, this is, again, with you, starting with the Rockers, correct? Since 96, all the way, I keep seeing this 2021 money line that you're still playing.
That'll be my last team.
Yeah. All right, I'm holding you. This is not camera, so I'm holding you to it. But it's just incredible here because up until about 2000, with the 45s, you guys were first place Major Nationals, first place Forest Park. Tournament or game that you remember, you stand out and you're like, wow,
Like Mark said, with the first one in '99, we played out in Marshalltown with the Leafs. And 45 knocked the 6 news bracket early on Sunday, so we had to fight our way back and we ended up double dipping lettuce.
Sure.
Lettuce.
Yeah.
Top teams all the time.
Sure.
And
when we talk lettuce, these were the Rich Melman teams,
yes.
Right? Well, by the way, we have a live audience here today, so sometimes I'll ask a question. These were the Rich Melman teams?
Right.
Yeah, that were,
So, lettuce, Rich 45, maybe those are top 3, so we double dipped lettuce in '99 to win our first major national. And back then, when I started, Labor Day was a little bigger than Forest Park. Now Forest Park seems to
Yeah.
everybody wants to go to Forest Park.
Forest Park, right.
They don't care too much about the Labor Day tournament.
Sure.
But when I started, I wanted to win that Labor Day weekend tournament. That was my first one, and beat Lettuce twice and win.
Oh,
I think,
for sure.
I think we won 6 games that Sunday. That was,
And that was that team was called the
Pugliese,
because I see down the road here in the later years with Tito's. Was it you joined the 45 Tito's? We went on to win the Forest Park in the Major Nationals in 16 and 17 too. Just recently, yeah, that's tremendous. Just honors. This is crazy.
I was fortunate to play some
very good teams. Yeah,
I played me and Mark played together like 7 years.
Yeah.
45.
that leads me to the next question. You guys have crossed paths and played together. I'll ask a different question that I've never asked in these podcasts. What do you remember most about him? I mean, when you would see him when you were playing against him, what was the thing like? Okay, here comes Dosen.
Against them, we're always, you always had to have your best defense.
Okay,
When Marty came to the plate, you always had to. It's funny because we all know each other.
right.
So we all know our tendencies, and some of the all right, cheat Marty here, but then he would hit it there where they're not. You know what I mean?
Exactly.
So we all have tendencies, but we all have those other balls where okay, here's where I normally go, but they're going to play me here, so maybe I'm going to hit it here now.
Sure.
And then we had a lot of fun memories playing together too.
And that'd be great. How many years do you think you guys did play together?
I think 6. Guys. Don't make me do math.
No.
I think 6.
Yeah, approximate. Yeah.
Maybe 7, but definitely 6.
What do you remember about that?
Was
it the
when he was
power?
up to bat, I hope I wouldn't play second base.
Yeah.
I hope I was over third. Later in the grade, he had to go to the left field, but
Did he go to the right side because you were a short center?
I don't know so much in your early years, but later years you started going to left field a lot. Yeah.
Once we stopped playing at like Hodgkins and Mount Prospect.
Yeah, fences. I mean,
once the fences are gone, it doesn't matter how far or how hard you hit the ball because they can just go catch it.
Yeah, exactly.
So
They
you
can
gotta
run back there and
you gotta change your hitting style a little bit because there's no fences. You can't just swing hard and hit it, and sometimes you miss it a little bit and it still goes over the fence and it's a home run. But everywhere else, it's an out.
yeah, he's the best power hitter this team. In my eyes, I wasn't around in the 70s and 80s, but
you've seen him,
no one close.
Jackson balls.
Yeah.
I have to ask you, and I'll stay on the theme with you. Was there a team or a pitcher that just gave you fits? I mean, like where you couldn't do nothing against them. Was there anything like that where I got anything?
Right now, Israel Sanchez, I can't get a hit off him.
Yeah.
For some reason, I don't know. He just throws the left and throws it. I can't. And he lets me know about it too.
Yeah. So you tried everything in the box, up on the box, slip back in the box. Yeah.
Some good pitchers like Steve Batnich.
Yeah.
He's always hard to hit. Gibbs, Flash, Mose. Those are the 3 that stick out.
And what about team wise? Were you guys, what was that rival team that sticks out in your mind?
I played on so many different teams. So
Yeah.
Not really that.
Was there one that you said, God, just can't get past these guys, they just give us fits, when you go to the bar to talk with the guys, maybe some camaraderie conversation?
Yeah, well, when we put 45s, no one gave us.
No, okay.
But
You're honest. You're being,
no,
yeah. Exactly. How about you? How do you feel, man?
I mean, like Marty said on the 45s those years, I mean, we walked out on the field and we knew, we were the team and, screw anybody else that stepped on the field with us type. That's just kind of, we had that.
Did you feel that the other teams were intimidated? Could you feel before this thing went up in the air?
You couldn't feel it, but you kind of, I came from playing on the Penguins and then on the Flash. So I was on that other side where we looked at the Lettuce and we looked at the Pugliese and we were like, well, whether we didn't know it or not, but I remember being that kid that when we stepped on the field, I remember it was my first Nationals with the Flash was like 97, maybe 98. And we were playing in Cedar Rapids, whatever year that was. And we got Lettuce first round. Bunch of us young kids on Flash. And the craziest part about the game I want to say it was the bottom of the 7th. There was a play at first and we scored and we thought we had won and beat Lettuce. But the guy who ran to first touched the white bag instead of the orange bag. So Joe Zimbrov came out onto the field. the umpires come together and they wound up calling our guy out because he touched the wrong base. And I want to say in the top of the 8th, Lettuce scored like 19 runs, something like that. But to be a kid at 20 or 19 years old, and you're playing Lettuce, that the team that you'd go to Friday nights in Melrose Park to watch them play. And now you get to play against them. You had that feeling of like,
and now you're in the frying pan with them, right? Yeah. Exactly. Any, I posed a question to Marty. Any pitcher that bothered you as much as, from the sounds of all this, you could have the long ball?
It's funny, like everybody here, some of the olders will remember Jimmy Matlock. And, there was a time where I was like, man, I can't hit this guy. And I don't remember who it was. And Jimmy Matlock sits there and looks at me and goes, guy, it's underhand. Does it really matter who's pitching?
But
but that kind of stuck with me because then you go up there with that mentality, like, okay, yeah. I mean, Batnich, he was hard to hit. Gibbs is hard to hit. There's been guys.
These were all good pitchers, like who played their position and everything else. But again, I here both you guys, of course, are taller than me and everything else. But for this 5'8" guy who just played in little Park District places, I could not stand this. High arc, and especially like in the fall, when I think you go into the box with a 1-on-1 count. That next pitch, now you got this higher. The high arc bother either one of you in the sense
we're both south side guys, so that's more of a north side.
The north side,
right?
And shy away from those.
And it's a 12-foot.
Wish I would have called you. Yeah,
it's a 12-foot ceiling too. So unless you're going to play unlimited arc softball, you really never have to worry about that.
Right.
Yes, it's a lot funner, better to hit that 6-7 foot pitch. But, if it's 10, 11, 12 feet, it's still hittable too. It's when they're throwing it 20 feet in the air, and you're standing in the batter's box and you're looking straight up at the ball. No thanks.
Right.
No thanks.
Different question as we get, by the way, I want to just tell the audience again here, we are here today at the Chicago 16-inch Softball Hall of Fame here in downtown Forest Park. We have two gentlemen that are going to be inducted on October 28th, 2023. To my left, Mark Holstein, and to my right, Marty Dosen. They are going to be inducted here, and this is just a fabulous place. If anybody can come out to see this, the jerseys, the memories, the artifacts, the articles, and everything. And again, truly a big honor that Paul Rowan gets this done for us every Saturday around this time, and we always try to do it in front of a live audience. I got to ask you, because you brought up the fact about, so you were more of we're talking to Marty now, you were more of you think a line drive hitter?
Early in my career, I had a little power.
Yeah.
I had some home runs, that marker.
Right.
I hit him out of prospect. Did a few here that I can remember. Went off of Mickey.
Mickey is in our audience today, by the way. Mickey is
in front of the scoreboard in left center. It bounced the over the fence, but he only got a triple. He got a third.
But again,
ground triple.
Yeah.
But then you changed.
Yeah, later for some reason the power just wasn't there, so you had to, like Mark, I tried to go right field line, left field line.
You were good at to dump it.
I was more of the hard cut, not like the Ricky Gankars where just cut when Randy Russ would have cut.
Yeah.
Over to third base every time.
It was like an art bunch. It was an art. Yeah, exactly.
Mine was more of like a hard cut.
Yeah.
And then if you're playing me 3 on this side, I'll try to go to the right field.
Sure. So, was there? I'm going to ask him a question here too, Mark. Was there any, Marty, in any tournaments do you remember where you made I can still remember when I was playing in these Park Districts, like I played outfield, a catch that you made or a defensive play. Do you remember where it saved the game, or it still sticks out in your mind? It's still talked about.
I made one here in the Forest Park tournament. We were playing. I think they might have been Vickers at the time. And I went up the middle, playing short center. I grabbed it. When you catch the ball one handed, it's all luck. It
really is. Yeah.
So I made it. I flipped over to Berger, and he made a nice play catching it. And it was a championship game. We had a big lead, so it wasn't crucial, but just something like that. I remember those one-handed catches are always nice to make.
Oh yeah, like you said, it's either do or die. It's either going to stick or
out.
Wow.
You make a play. So those are the ones that stick out.
They stick out, and you can still talk about. All right, so I got to ask you the question. So I saw you. They told me when I come in that I think Mickey was saying when who's in the audience today, he says, "Hey, you know, on all these podcasts, you look like a big guy." I go, "Big guy? I'm 5'8". He goes like this. He goes, "Well, wait till today. You're not going to look too big." I go, "Yeah." So when he told me the size of you two guys, I go, "I'm going to look like an Oreo cookie over here today." You remember Amy play at the plate where a guy was coming and he says, "You know what?
Yeah, I mean, that jinx.
We're going to use that F word and F Holstein, or I'm going to knock him down." Do you remember any big play?
There was one the Jinx game that I talked about. Danny Jelowicz, they tried to look like they hit a ball on the ground to the right side, you know, just to sacrifice to get the run in. And I don't remember who hit it, but it was a soft hit, and Danny Jelowicz like charged it like crazy, picked it up, fired it home. And I was waiting at home. I mean, he hit me right here, and I mean, I was about, you know, the plate was behind me, so they weren't getting to the plate. But he hit me right in
front of it, right? You're in front of it?
Yeah, and I want to say that out is what got us to the next inning as a tie game. So if we wouldn't have gotten that out, they would have went up by 1 run going into that last inning, opposed to going into that last inning as a tie game.
Do you remember who was coming in on you?
It was a courtesy runner.
Okay.
So they had a pinch runner, somebody really fast, and I think what it was, their game plan was all right, we're going to hit the ball on the ground to the right side.
Right.
The minute he swings, the pinch runner takes off running for home. And I think before he even swung, I kind of remember seeing Danny creeping forward a little bit to kind of get that momentum. And then
you think this was going to happen, basically.
Right. Picked it up, fired it home. We got the out. You know, the momentum shifted, and then we went to the last inning and had bases loaded, like I said, with no outs, and it took 3 more batters to get that run out. So yeah, that was fun. That was a fun play right there.
Marty, I'm going to end it with this, and Mark, I'm going to end it with this today. Besides Dad, besides anybody else, who were those? You can name as many as you can remember. Who were those early mentors besides Dad? You know, that you said, you know what, I want to be like this guy. I want to continue to play in this game. I want to be just as good as him. Say when you were, you know, that 23-year-old coming up to, you saw maybe that late 30-year-old, early 40-year-old who was still playing and he was still dominating. You remember a couple guys?
Well, I mentioned my brother.
Yeah.
He gave me the most advice.
And that's also Matt too.
Yeah,
right?
yeah. He gave me probably the most advice, but probably Jeff Berger.
Okay.
To me, I think Jeff is probably I don't know if this phrase right, but the greatest winner this game has ever seen.
You have him here in this bio to talk about.
Hey, that's just my opinion. I mean,
sure. No.
Mark can speak to us. Mark played with Jeff for
right.
10, 12 years. So I would say Berger probably the most. And I've had so many. I mean, just look at my teams I played.
Oh my God, this is incredible.
It's a lot of teams, so I've had a lot of great teammates. And
I mean, I know you.
I'll mention a few of them on the 28th.
Yeah, that'll be great.
I don't want to.
Yeah, we don't want
here. I don't want to give all my.
They'll play the cards there.
No, it's my dad, my brother.
Beautiful, and from the Rockers, the Police, the Bucks, the South, the Paragon, the 45. Boom. I mean, yeah, I think that's a fair assessment. How you loved it. That's great. And we'll do it this way. Mark,
I agree with.
Do you remember even a couple guys?
Yeah, I agree with Marty on Jeff. I mean, just on the field winner. And I think what made Jeff special is Jeff knew the game, but Jeff knew the people. You know what I mean? Other teams and our team, and what I think made Jeff so special is, yeah, we're going to make mistakes. Mistakes happen. And, you know, the things happen on the field, and Jeff would be the first one after the inning came and ended. He'd pull you to the side. And he pulled me to the side sometimes. He'd say, hey, what were you thinking then? I think you could have maybe done this, or that. Maybe next time you want to think about doing that next time. Got it. I mean, so as far as like, not only as like a mentor, but like more of like a coach that says, hey, this is what I see.
Sure.
What did you see?
Right.
You know, maybe next time, now let's do this. You know what I mean? And another one's been Izzy. I played with Izzy since I've been, 22 was my first year under 45s. Now I'm 45. You know what I mean? So it's, you know, Izzy's been a big part of, you know, he's a lefty. I'm a lefty.
Sure.
You know, when I was a kid, I'd watch what he would do and try to do what he would do. And yeah, you know,
we're talking Sanchez, right?
Yes.
Yeah. I know the nickname is Izzy.
So those two guys, and then as far as like coach, not player on the field, you know, Bobby Rasha was awesome.
Yeah, I see.
You know, I mean, he was. Yeah, he was. I mean, he brought me onto the team, and you know, we had a lot of good, fun history, and we still keep in touch, and. You know, he did a lot of great things, and you know, everybody talks about Melman taking care of his players, and Bobby was by
Sure.
far the best person to play for.
Out there,
Sure.
no mistakes.
Oh yeah.
And what I gotta say about both of you in this, final thing here, when you guys bring up the thing about Berger, watching and playing with teams, and of course at the level you guys played, if you didn't come through on that night, you felt like any little mistake turns around a softball game, momentum wise and everything else. But to hear a guy of his caliber to come in and tell you what I call constructive criticism is rare because sometimes you feel like the loneliest guy out there. You're on an island with another 9 players of the 10. You're like, okay, I gotta bring my A game every night.
And it was what he had another canny thing to do is like, we all struggle at times. It happens.
Sure.
But it was weird that like you feel yourself getting in a little rut and here comes Berger. He's like, hey, this is what I see. Why don't you try this? Why don't you try that? Maybe help get out of this, help get out of that. So he was not only able to, be a leader on the field, but he was also to recognize shortcomings in my game and then was able to say, hey, why don't you, think about doing this or think about doing that. So it was really cool. And, when you're a kid like me, I was always the youngest on the team.
Sure.
To have someone, like Berger in your corner, encouraging you, gave you that confidence that you might not have had without it.
Sure. Yeah. And you know what? Like I said, to be constructive on the good side instead of a badgering, a different way.
That line.
Remember this?
Even it's yelling at it.
It's the family show. We gotta watch the video here. Okay. Well, listen, gentlemen, I got to tell you, maybe the shortest bios I've ever seen because I think you guys are just really, you guys go some trip. But what is behind the bio tells me a lot about both. Just tremendous the championships, the awards, and everything else. And just hearing the camaraderie between the two of you playing against each other, playing with each other. This is fantastic. Well-deserved honor here on the 28th coming up. You guys, just tremendous. This is so fun to hear. Every Saturday I get a different perspective from different players. And I always end it like this. And again, it enhances it the same way as I always do with the other guys. Today again, I was part of a dominating bunch. We'll all see you on the 28th, and thank you for listening to the Chicago 16-inch Hall of Fame.